Welcome back. All right. I want to talk about the Vancouver Canucks today. They do not play today. They play tomorrow in Detroit. And I wanted to just take a look at things and where they stand right now. I haven't done a video on the Canucks in a while. I have another board behind this one, which is dedicated to another team I'll be doing a video on later today. The Vancouver Canucks are 3-5-3 at home thus far this year. On the road, 9-2. So it has been a very different story, and I wanted to go over just how different things have been for them. They are the number one wild card currently. They're 1 point back of the Flames, 2 points back of the Kings, and 6 points back of first place Vegas, but they have 2 games in hand on every team that they're chasing. You do have to win those games in hand. That's the key thing. I do mention that often. Having games in hand, having a better points percentage doesn't necessarily mean you end up ahead of those teams you're chasing. It just means you have more games in which you can get some points and maybe make that pass. The one thing to keep in mind is Vancouver is just 1 point above the playoff line. So tomorrow morning for me anyways, tomorrow afternoon in Detroit, that's where they are. They're in Detroit, they're playing against the Wings on Sunday, and then on Tuesday they finish the road trip in Minnesota. Now, Minnesota won't be an easy team to play against. Detroit, it depends on the game. Some games they look good. Most games this year they've had their struggles. So we'll see how the Canucks look after this road trip's done. But then they come home and they have 6 in a row at home. Normally, a team coming home for a 6 game homestand is excited and glad to be home. I'm sure the Canucks will be glad to be home, but their home record tells you they've had their struggles. So it starts on Friday against Columbus. Then on Sunday the 8th, they're against the Tampa Bay Lightning. On Tuesday the 10th, they're against the St. Louis Blues. Thursday the 12th, it's the Florida Panthers. Saturday the 14th, it's the Boston Bruins. So they skip right past Friday the 13th. And then on Monday the 16th, they're at home against Colorado. These are not easy games. Of this homestand, Columbus is a team that struggled on the road. We'll be talking about them later today. Tampa Bay has struggled on the road, comparatively speaking, with at home. St. Louis has a new coach. Florida's always tough. Boston has a new coach as well. Their old coach has gone to St. Louis. And of course, Colorado. They've had some interesting games against the Vancouver Canucks over the years. So this is going to be a tough homestand. This is a homestand that could very well decide whether the Canucks are, going to be a contender this year or whether there's some serious concerns. So I wanted to look at the team scoring and split it into home and away. And for Quinn Hughes, away from home, 11 games, 3 goals, 13 assists, 16 points. At home, his numbers aren't awful, but they're not as high as they are on the road. 11 games, 2 goals, 7 assists, 9 points. Connor Garland on the road, 11 games, 6 goals, 9 assists, 15 points. Ridiculous numbers for Garland. And then at home, 11 games, 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points. Jake DeBrusk loves the road. 11 games, 7 goals, 4 assists, 11 points. At home, 11 games, just 4 assists. He has yet to record a goal at home. Brock Besser, away from home, 10 games, 3 goals, 5 assists, 8 points. At home, he's pretty good too. 5 games, 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points. Pettersson, despite all of the negativity around Pettersson, his numbers have started bouncing back. Away from home, 11 games, 2 goals, 6 assists, 8 points. And he's good at home. 11 games, 5 goals, 5 assists, 10 points. Sherwood, 11 games, 3 goals, 5 assists, 8 points on the road. At home, 11 games, 3 goals, 1 assist, 4 points. Pius Suter on the road, 11 games, 5 goals, 2 assists, 7 points. His numbers at home are similar. 10 games, 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points. Then there's JT Miller, and we'll discuss a little bit when we get to the end of this on the players that aren't with the team right now. But on the road, 7 games, 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points. At home, 10 games, 3 goals, 7 assists, 10 points. Teddy Bluger is the same on the road as at home. In both cases, 11 games, both cases, 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points. So he's steady. Danton Heinen, similar story. 11 games, 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points away from home. At home, 5 points, although they're all assists in the same number of games, that being 11. And then you get to the goaltending side of it. And I can't figure out what it is with Lankinen. He's 9-0 on the road, 938 save percentage. At home, 2-3-2 with an 872 save percentage. So that is a huge disparity in terms of home and away. And usually when you see that, you would think it would be home where the goaltender would be more comfortable or the players would be more comfortable. Clearly that hasn't been the case. Shelov's, his numbers are actually a little bit better in Vancouver than they are on the road. He's 0-2 on the road with an 837 save percentage. At home, 1-2-1 with an 851 save percentage. The save percentage is scary in both cases, and you can see why they've been using Lankinen as much as they have. But it will be interesting to see if Lankinen can improve his home numbers here. Now, their team stats are also all over the place, which is not a surprise considering what we see here. So, goals per game on the road, 3.55. At home, 2.91. Their goals against per game, it's a crazy difference. 2.27 per game on the road and even 4 at home. So this is where the frustration, if you're a Canucks fan, sets in. You watch them on the road, they're playing great, everything's going really well. You get tickets for a home game, and the team you see at home is not the same. And that includes special teams. On the power play, on the road, they're 24.2%. At home, 18.2%. Their penalty kill on the road, 84.6%, and at home, 75.9%. So it is a bewildering picture that we're seeing for the Vancouver Canucks. And then you get into the players that are out of the lineup. So you've got Forbort, who's been out for a while now and probably going to be out for a little bit longer with his knee problem. Then you've got JT Miller, who's on a leave of absence. We don't know how long JT Miller's going to be out. We don't know the exact nature of what's going on with JT Miller right now. Canuck fans are just hopeful he's back soon. And, I mean, there's been some speculation about whether or not we'd see Miller back soon. But until he's, back practicing with the team, your guess is as good as mine on that one. Demko, it's a knee for Demko as well, of course, that he's been dealing with for quite some time. There is the possibility that this is just something that's going to need to be watched the rest of his career, which is not great news, of course, if you're a Canuck fan. But for Demko, he probably will not be a 60-plus game goaltender over his career, at least during each season. I don't mean overall, just each season. He's probably going to have his games cut back just a little bit because you don't want that knee to start acting up on him. And then there's Hronek, who's still being looked at. So technically it's an upper body injury, but we know it's shoulder related. And we haven't heard the length of time he's going to be out, but odds are it's probably going to be for a while. So the uncertainty around this team goes beyond the injuries. The uncertainty around this team goes beyond the home record, which gets covered up by the road record. If they weren't very good on the road, we would be talking about the Canucks maybe needing a rebuild or what's going on here. And could there potentially be another change behind the bench because coaches are hired to be fired? But it doesn't seem like that's where we're headed. And as long as they're pretty darn good on the road, they'll be in the playoff picture. Don't know how much longer they stay above the line. If they struggle in this homestand, that's going to make it more difficult. But there are still some questions like Nils Höglander. I talked about it in the news video last night. Playing 6 minutes and 28 seconds in a game, it isn't going to increase his trade value, and he's apparently on the block. And I'd be very surprised if we don't see a move by Christmas from the Vancouver Canucks because they need blue liners. You've got Forbort out. Now you've got Hronek out for a long period of time. They need help on the blue line. They need that depth. Brandstrom, I think, has been a good addition on the blue line. I think they did well picking him up from Colorado, but they need more. And this is a league where it's pricey. The one name that I've seen brought up in rumors is Marcus Pettersson of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and whether or not there might be a deal there, which would then involve Höglander going to Pittsburgh and figuring out how to make that work, financially and just from an assets perspective. So Vancouver has some questions to be answered when it comes to their home record and their play at home, definitely. But what they need to do is bring their road game home. And I'll say what I've said already in other cases of teams struggling on the road. You need to keep it simple at home. Just do your best to ignore the pressure. And I do think that the pressure the Canucks feel at home is part of it. And I think they try to force passes that aren't necessarily there. And the simple plays they're making on the road, the smart plays they're making on the road, they haven't been making at home, which has to be frustrating for Tocchet and for the coaching staff and for Patrick Allvin. But one reason that I'm not overly panicky about the Vancouver Canucks is Patrick Allvin. He has shown in his time as general manager that while not every single move he's made has been perfect, fantastic, and worked out great, at the very least, most of the moves he's made have worked out pretty well for Vancouver. So I have faith in the general manager to be able to help this team get itself going at home. And if they struggle in this upcoming homestand, I would expect changes to be made. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.